Ready? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, who's freezing and who's melting?
Melting.
You are warm? I am too. Yeah, it's a little warm up there. You guys okay in the back? Yes. You watch half the people will be doing this and the other half will just be sitting there. Sir. We'll try and keep it regulated as much as we can. I'm Greg, this is Isaac. If you need anything at any given point in time, please feel free to raise your hand. If you have questions, blurt them out, comments. We aren't those people that say there will be no questions or hold your questions to the end. We want to keep this more of a conversation than anything else. We've been doing this for a really long time, and the financial landscape changes all the time. It helps us to hear what people are thinking about, what you're concerned about, what you're investing in, that kind of stuff. We got to keep it conversational, plus lectures put me to sleep. With the understanding that we've got a limited number of time to get through a great big deal of information. So if we get too stuck in one area, I might have to call timeout, and we got to move along just to stay on time with the kitchen. If we don't get to a question that you have in a certain area, jot it down. There's some line paper in your folder, and then when they're bringing out lunch, we'll come around. We can answer any other questions that we didn't get to. Let's make sure everybody's got a folder. Everybody get a folder? And there's a pen inside, and it works. We found one defective earlier. There's a little brochure next to the pen usually. Tells you a little bit about Isaac and I and our businesses and how we're different. And then I'm sure Isaac handed you a sheet that looks like this. Probably asked you to put your name at the bottom of the front page. The second page is the same except it says your copy on it. We'd like you to take that one, rip that one off and take it home with you. You don't need to write your name on that one. But we want you just to have it for reference. It's got a list of the topics we're going to go over here today. Plus it's got our contact information at the top. We want you to have that. But we want to use the one that you put your name at the bottom of as kind of a scorecard. Because we're going to cover a whole bunch of information and we're going to move pretty quickly. By the time we get down to section 3 or 4, you won't even remember what the first one was. So we'll help at the end of each section and say, now if you've never heard of this, or hey, I got one of those, mine doesn't do that, or something where you want more information, we'll have you make a little check mark at that section. That way as we go through, we build a laundry list of the things that are specific to what you're interested in. And for those of you who want to get together with us later, we'll come around and we'll try and plug you into our appointment schedule, but we'll take these sheets to do our research so that when we have a chance to get together one-on-one, we know what it is that you were interested in. We tie that to your name. Highly scientific. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. The title of this, I'm not sure which Facebook title you saw because I've seen 3 or 4 different ones, but it probably had something to do with taxes. Is that right? Tax-free retirement or something like that? Okay. We just changed the name of this presentation to that specifically because of the draw that that's been getting on social media. Taxes, believe it or not, are the #1 concern of retirees right now. More than market risk, which is kind of strange. But if you do the market research, the cool thing about that is everything we've ever done as retirement planners starts with a focus on taxes first. Either tax-free, tax-deferred, or tax-preferred, or tax passed on down the road to somebody else or to another time. So the fact that everybody else is now trying to focus that through their Facebook marketing is kind of interesting to me. But I promise, everything that we do is going to have a focus on taxes. But we also simultaneously get rid of every possible chance of risk we can and then maximize growth. CDs don't have any risk, but they also won't make any money. Apple stock, probably make a lot of money, could come with a lot of risk. Is everybody buying Tesla stock now? It's supposed to go to 7,000. We said last night. It's at 850 this morning. Yeah. So
Went up 140 something today already.
I know, right?
Today, yeah.
But so we're too late. We should have bought yesterday. So after we go over all this stuff, then we're going to wrap up and we'll pick up your information sheets. We'll answer any other questions as they're bringing food out. And if you want to get together, we'll try and put you on our calendar. Has everybody eaten here before? A few of you? Food's pretty good. We try to only put these kind of meetings together at places with really good food. I mentioned that we were retirement planners. I want to point out the distinction between a retirement planner and a financial planner. The financial planner is the guy you should have been talking to about Tesla and Apple stock. We don't work in that space. That stuff can go up 150 points in a day, as we just learned. It can also go down by 450 in an hour. So we don't work in that space. I'm not saying don't invest in that stuff. I own some of that stuff. You probably should too. But a larger portion of your assets need to be in safe harbor of some way, and that's our expertise. So to me, this is the difference. this hurricane came through in 2018, wiped out a whole section of Mexico Beach, Florida, except for this one house where the owners refused to build just up to the building code. They went way beyond the building code, and they built it to withstand 200-mile-an-hour winds. There have never been 200-mile-an-hour winds in this section of Florida, ever. But when interviewed on CNN about why did you do that, they said because we didn't want to have to go through the devastation of rebuilding. We didn't want the loss. So it was worth us to put a little extra time and money into the protection. So that they only lost about 3 tiles off the roof. They didn't even break a window. And then whoever this lucky guy is, kind of got that too. But to me, this is what Isaac and I would work on. We work on safety and retirement, keeping the nest egg in place. This is Tesla stock and Bitcoin and Weight Watchers and all of the next whatever it might be. Risky. Big distinction. We also only make personalized recommendations. I mention that specifically because I'm probably not the only speaker you're ever going to see at one of these things. Most of them, 3 out of 4 of the people that put these presentations on represent one asset or one company or something behind one license that they went out and got. We don't work that way. We can do anything and everything out there, including Tesla stock if you needed it to. We don't work in that space. Well, my point is, we're not going to try and give you a sales presentation based on the one thing we know how to sell or the one thing we're licensed to do or the one company we're contracted with. We're here to tell you about all kinds of things we do for a lot of people, and until we get to meet with you personally, we're not going to try and recommend anything. We'll use a lot of examples. Then we also don't charge any fees, consultation fees, management fees, things like that. Our clients' money stays in their pockets, not ours. So the way we work is we sit down with you and we find out what it is you need, whether it's more income, less taxes, pass more on to your kids, get some long-term care, better Medicare plan, whatever, living trust protection. And then we say, okay, here's 2 or 3 ways we can do that. Let's talk about them and pick the one that you like the best. And then we go to that company or that person and we have them help you with that. And they pay us a finder's fee. But it comes out of their profits from last quarter, not out of your assets. So 100% of your money moves from where it is to doing something better. But it stays in your pockets and not ours. It's also an important distinction because people that operate this way don't get paid like that. They get paid by the people that they help or hurt. Okay, so here's the way I want to start this. The same Facebook company that sent you an invitation to this seminar also does seminars, invitations for people all over the southern state of California. But I helped that Facebook company get their marketing start in this retirement planning kind of industry. So he shares information with me. And this is an actual presentation from Riverside that they do about once a month. There's a woman out there that does, she focuses on Social Security planning and some Medicare stuff. But this is her actual presentation, and I'm going to show it to you because this is the most popular stuff out there today, and I'm going to show you what's wrong with it. So this presentation is going to focus on 3 tax areas. Life insurance, because that grows tax-free and can come out tax-free. Cool. Roth conversions, turning your IRA into non-IRA money, never pay another penny of taxes again, also cool. And maximizing your Social Security, meaning that you get as much income as you possibly can and as little taxation on your Social Security as you possibly can. All those sound really good, don't they? Watch what happens. So I'm going to start with number 1, life insurance. This is true. If we put money into an index universal life insurance policy, we can get guaranteed, Isaac, 6, 8? They're pretty high. Let's say 6, conservative. But I can get a guaranteed 6% per year compound interest, no 1099s. So it's going to grow tax-free, or like my IRA, for all these years. And at the end, I can take money and build an income stream back to myself and never pay a penny of taxes. It takes about 15 to 20 years for this to work. How many of you want to wait 15 to 20 years? So nobody in the room is interested in 1/3 of my presentation. But it's all going to sound really good, and if I'm sitting in the audience, I'm going to go, oh, that's too bad. This one doesn't apply to me. That's okay. I'll just wait to the next one. But it's, okay. So, fine. Let's move on to the next one. Roth conversion. Go ahead.
If you have a paid off whole policy, how would you pull money out and get?
Depends on the policy. Whole life comes with some different kinds of
Well, I can
strings.
get money out, but I mean,
Okay.
how do you get the money out with more interest? or
Through
something?
loans. Well, I don't know, through more interest? I can help you get it out tax-free, but I can't help you get more interest on it. Whole life doesn't typically grow that well as far as the interest growth.
I'm getting about 6%.
Good, that's really good. How old's the policy?
60-some years.
Okay, that's good. Are you gonna take the cash out?
I have borrowed it and paid it back a
Okay,
couple times.
okay, let's talk, because there's a bunch of different ways we can do that. If you already have an asset in place that's got a cash value, in a tax deferred growth vehicle, then you actually can utilize the life insurance strategies. But for those of us who haven't put our money back in 60 years ago, or even 20 years ago, we would have to start from scratch, and it will take 15 to 20 years for a life insurance plan to build tax-free cash enough to really get the benefit, and then start drawing out a tax-free income. So that one's off the table. Roth conversions are somewhat similar. For those of you who don't know what a Roth conversion is, my IRA money sits here because I got it when I worked at Boeing or wherever, and they took it out of my paycheck for 20 years. And I took it and I put it into mutual funds when I left Boeing, and it's sitting there. Now, every time I take a dollar out of that, I get taxed. When I turned 72, I gotta start taking some money out of it. What if I didn't like that? What if I took it and I paid all the taxes right now and put it in a Roth account, and then from that point on, it'll go tax-free, and I'll never pay a penny of tax on any of the growth. Sounds good, doesn't it? Guess how long it'll take me to pay off the tax hit? 15 to 20 years, depending on how well the asset performs. So here again, cool idea. If you got 15 to 20 years, how many of you want to wait 15 to 20 years for another income stream? Nope. If I was 40, maybe. When I'm 70, it's too late. So here's the second part of the three-part strategies that I'm not interested in, but I think other people in the room probably are. And I can put really cool tax code and calculations and graphics up on the screen to show you how smart I am while I'm doing all this, and you'll be very impressed, even though you can't do this. Then the third one is
Wait,
that.
I got a question, go back to that, what?
Please.
So you made some comments here, so, basically, if you stashed a lot of money in an IRA.
Yeah.
Through different, products or whatever, so you never paid the tax, so
Right.
at some point you have to pay the tax.
Right.
Right, and
Yeah.
so when you're saying this, you say pay less, I'm not worried about making the money back because I need to pay the tax.
Okay.
The point is, isn't it smart to do some of this because you would be in a low tax now? We don't know the political environment 15 years from now.
Okay.
And so
Fair enough.
that now is a very good tax season, is it not? Then maybe 20 years from now.
Depends.
Maybe,
It depends, but I can show you calculations where we play it out, and you die next week, next year, 5 years, and 10 years from now, and where it actually makes sense that you make up for the tax hit that you took. And then it's a matter of deciding, where do I want to place that bet? But it doesn't work tomorrow, and it doesn't work in 5 years, before you actually regret, like I've got $100,000 in my IRA. If I convert it, I'm gonna pay 32 grand in taxes. So now I'm down to 68,000. How long before I get back to my 100 grand? Depends on how well my bank account or my market does, right?
But
So
you-
my 68 has to grow, and that could take, on average, 15 to 20 years to make it all back up, depending on what the market does. Whether I'm gonna be in a higher tax bracket or not down the road, we could calculate in and then help make that decision, but you're right. Some of it is a crystal ball,
right,
look,
you don't know.
right, you don't. No, but all of that needs to be factored in. None of that would be put into the presentation, by the way. You got something?
No, and going back to your question, it's kind of hard. We don't know exactly what else you receive that's taxable. So that plays out as well.
Right,
It might work out for someone who doesn't make anything,
right.
and then we can do this. Oh yeah, that's the
Right.
best
That's
thing to
true.
do. But now we gotta figure out everything to make sure that you're
You
doing
don't
the
wanna
right
get
thing.
bumped up into the next tax bracket.
Trust
Correct.
me, I got bumped up by $1 a few years ago, and I ended up paying 30 grand at 1 cent. So I couldn't hold it. So.
Your example, you said to get back to 100 grand, but you never have 100 grand in the first place if it's
If it's in an
a
IRA.
traditional IRA because the government has a lien on it.
True.
The question is whether you pay that lien
Now
Or later.
or in the
you know,
future.
Especially like in my situation, I just retired and I'm not collecting Social Security or RMDs yet, so I'm in a really low tax bracket. When I start collecting Social Security and getting required minimum distributions, I'll be in a much higher tax bracket, even if the taxes
Right.
don't change.
No, for sure.
So for a person like me, I think it makes sense to
Okay.
do partial conversions
Right.
at least until whatever.
I
the
believe-
next
I
tax
agree.
bracket.
Absolutely. For those of you who might not have heard that, he believes it right now because he hasn't started Social Security yet. He just retired, so he's not collecting a paycheck anymore. He's in a very low tax bracket, and the impact of taking money out of his IRA in partial distributions, like you said, not doing it all at once,
Right.
but taking little bits at a time, is probably the very best strategy you can do right now until you turn 72. What this presentation is designed to do is to convince you that you need to move out of wherever your IRA is right now and into something that will allow for Roth tax filing, which your current account won't do. And what does that do? Generates a sales transaction fee or a commission for the person who's putting on the demonstration. Right.
Another question. You
Sure.
just mentioned you went over by $1 and you paid $2,000. How much that cost? Since the tax
There's-
is progressive.
There's certain things, and I think it wasn't even when the tax was changed yet. So, and I have a 1099 and I have a salary, so there's different, so it all just got jumbled up. We can discuss
But
that
you
later.
missed by $1.
Huh?
But you missed by $1.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do everything I can December 31st or late December. I didn't want any more income coming in, because it was, but it did, so there's nothing I can do, so. I was shopping till the 31st of midnight that day, just to see if I can
Okay.
write up.
Question.
Go ahead.
So, when we talk taxes, a lot of times in these seminars, they're just talking federal. Is a Roth, tax-free California also?
Yes.
It
You don't
is.
pay any more taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, once you
So,
make the commitment.
so, just a real quick question. So if I went out of state, retired, and went out of state to a tax-free state for a couple of years, and was in a situation like him,
Mhm.
and converted at that point, and then came back to California, would that be tax-free at that point? If it was moved into a Roth?
Well, Roth is always tax-free.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's, but, so it is tax-free in California, so, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of,
It will be,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
100%. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, not to take away.
Notice how that's what everybody, just real quick.
Well, from the top.
Please, go ahead.
Because I just read it and they changed the distribution from age 70.5 to 72. When did that become effective?
The
That was-
first January.
Okay, I just caught it on the computer, I got behind the 8 ball, so to speak. What is the main reason for why they did that? Or do we know?
They want money now.
Well, just that they won't.
Yeah,
Okay.
before you
No.
can, oh, no, I'm sorry.
I think
I'm
it's a
talking about
PR,
inheritance
I
taxes.
think it's a PR move.
The
more
PR
than
move,
anything else.
actually, sorry. I was thinking of
You want
stretching the
your
IRA,
money,
sorry.
your
Okay.
money.
Yeah,
Because
they
they-
got rid of the stretch IRA,
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the
exactly.
trade-off.
which affects a lot of people that have
Yeah.
big IRAs.
Way more.
So to compensate a little bit for it, they moved out the
They did the
requirement
72.
distribution
Yeah.
by a year and a half.
So to me,
It
they,
doesn't really
they-
make up.
they
for it.
gave you the year and a half extension on the distributions to make you feel really good, make
Yeah.
us feel really
Yeah.
good, while they were also at the same time taking away billions in the stretch IRA
Yeah.
tax that they now get to take. Because if you pass on your IRA to a 10-year-old great-grandchild, let's say, and they can stretch that until they're 87, that can be about $1.5 million in dollars that they grow and spend over their lifetime. If you limit that to 10 years, it's maybe 50 to 75,000. So, and I think it was the big, kind of the
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors. All right, I gotta move on. Last section, Social Security. If you don't wanna live on just $32,000 a year of income, this won't work for you. If you wanna live on less than $32,000, fine. But if you live within driving distance of this restaurant, I doubt that you can survive on less than $32,000. And that's the level at which you need to get before they don't tax enough of your Social Security or any of the optimization and maximization stuff works. So this portion as well won't apply to anybody in the room.
What's R&D?
Required minimum distribution, you have to take at 72 now. It's, 70. My point is, this isn't a presentation designed to help you with your taxes and optimizing your taxes. It's a presentation designed to help you move some of your assets into something that I can make money off of. And that's the point. Now I'm going to show you how to do all the tax stuff the right way and focus on protection and not just generating a living for myself and hurting my clients. So here's the way we're going to organize this information. The number one thing we do, like if you take 50 hours in a week, what did we spend most of those hours working on? That's what we'll start with. And then second most, and third most, and fourth most. And that changes from year to year. We just had to change the order of this about a year ago. Number one thing, I'm gonna skip some of this just to move ahead. The number one thing is diversification of risk and time. Risk can go badly. Remember Enron? I like to use that one as an example. I had Enron stock, made money, luckily got out the year before they went bad. But it was 5-star rated, the number one energy stock in the world for 5 years running, right up until they went to prison. It was fantastic. Problem with that is, the devastation that happened so fast took a long time for people to recover from, because they had a lot of pension and 401k stuff in their holdings. So here's the continuum. Safe stuff has no time commitment, virtually, or maybe a 3 or 4 year T-bill. Won't pay you much, but there's no risk. Long-term stuff, your Bitcoin and your Tesla stock and things like that. You might have to hang, rental units, that's a good example. You might have to hang on to a rental unit for 10 years or more before it really starts to turn a good cash flow. I have one rental left in Anaheim and it pays me about $700-800 a month in positive net, but I've owned it for 15 years. If I went back to 8 years in, I was maybe making a couple hundred a month. Okay. Isaac and I focus in this area. We want better growth than you can get at the bank with not the risk that you have to take and the commitments of time you have to make down the road. Because if, I love this question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I think, where was I 10 years ago? Would I have said, oh, I'll be at Van Nuys Airport giving a retirement? Well, I was doing this 10 years ago, but my point is we don't want to have to commit more than about 5 to 10 years because the landscape changes, the political environment changes, the tax code changes all the time. You don't want to be stuck in a 30-year bond and then find out later that bond rates go up by 5 points and devalue yours. Okay, so here's my point. Safe stuff doesn't grow well. Risky stuff looks like my EKG, stocks, bonds, real estate partnerships, oil well futures, cryptocurrencies. All of them have a place with a small portion of your portfolio. The trick is to not have too big of that. Like, so let's say Tesla is a good investment. In 10 years from now, it has gone up tenfold in price. That doesn't mean today you should put 100% of your investable assets into that stock. Only put in as much as you can afford to lose. And we can help with that. Here's what we've learned though. This is what the S&P 500 has looked like since 1954. Every 10-year span, if you were to just pick a date and time and go out 10 years on the calendar, 70% of the time, the S&P 500 is up. Imagine that, 70%. That's like a batting average of 700. That's huge. So what we do is we work on investing in the things that don't have any of the downs. If I can participate in some of the up, don't give it all to me. Maybe I don't get all of this big spike this year, but I don't take any of the downs. That gives me the safety that we need. Okay. Index annuities have been the number one way we've done that for the last few years. They're also, it makes more eyes roll and more people groan than any other investment. And I used to be a member of that camp. Here's why we like index annuities. Let me show you the story how we found index annuities to be palatable. I didn't like annuities before the crash of 2008 for a few reasons. First of all, you couldn't earn any more than about single digits. If you don't mind silencing your cell phones, I would greatly appreciate that. I thought it was mine that was ringing. Sorry, can't talk. Okay. So index annuities used to be single digit returns at best. If you died, they kept the money if you'd already started the income. And, well, the market safety was already built in, and they couldn't charge fees, which we like. But let's address the people that are really putting index annuities down. I won't say their names because I haven't paid royalties to use their likenesses, but these three people have TV shows, infomercials, radio shows where they all have said index annuities are bad. You know why they say that? Because they cannot sell it. Meaning, they are not licensed to sell it. All three of these people's financial empires come from charging asset management fees to their clients, and anything that comes from an insurance company, which index annuities do, cannot charge any fees, management consultation or asset fees. So if you buy index annuities, these people go out of business, and that's why they say, well, Now, I gave you reasons why I didn't like them before. And before the crash of 2008, we hardly ever recommended them. But then that changed. And let me show you why. For those of you who don't know what an index annuity is, I'm going to show you an example. My money is going to grow based on the performance of an index. Like the S&P 500, the Dow. The Dow was up 450 points when I left the house this morning, which is awesome, except it was down 650 yesterday. So we got some ground to move up. But these are financial indicators that we can track and we can keep score. So watch what happens with an index annuity versus what the market does. In May of 2000, we had a harder stock market crash than our country had ever seen, worse than 1929. All of the Silicon Valley startup internet companies just imploded overnight, and the market crashed, down, down, down. So if I'd had money that followed the S&P 500, let's go from 100,000, I would have gone down, down, down to 62,000 in 3 years. And then back up to about 97 over 7. If I'd been in an index annuity at the same time, I would have gotten to participate in the up years, but in the down years, my money doesn't drop. Because by law, it can't. The insurance companies have to guarantee me my principal will be safe during the down times, and then I get to share in part of the up times. Okay, concept makes sense? Pretty simple. Here's one of the reasons I didn't like it. This is the best performing annuity in the industry available in May of 2008, and they only did 8%. That was the best one. Most of them back then did around 3 to 4 or less. So I didn't like that because you couldn't do any better than about 8. Second reason I didn't like them was, if I wanted income, I got here and said, hey, I'm going to play golf the rest of my life, give me a lifetime income stream, I had to annuitize the contract. And when I annuitize the contract, they start giving me a check every month, but I can never go back and touch the money. So if my $134,000 is there, I start getting a paycheck. 6 weeks later, my wife has a stroke. I need the cash. I don't need this monthly paycheck. I need my cash back. No, they would not give it to me. And if I died, they got to keep the rest. My kids didn't even get the money. So that wasn't a good way to go very often. Now, let's just play this out. They've taken that away. Today they do way better than single-digit performance. And you no longer have to give away access to your money to get lifetime income. We changed that after the crash in 2008. That's when we started looking at them and saying, yeah, all right, maybe we should take a look. So let's play out this safety issue first. That's 2000, 2007. Here's 2000 to 2007 again. Then the crash of 2008, 2009. And then we've been going up this roller coaster ever since. I'm going to have to get a bigger chart. But we're right about here. Higher than we've ever been. Okay, and if I give you a pen and tell you to come up to the board and draw, which way are we going next? Which way are you going to draw? Don't be pessimistic. They fixed it. It'll never crash again. No, I know it's going to crash, but I've been saying that since right here. And I was wrong year after year after year. As it keeps going up higher and higher. Here's what this chart doesn't show you. Volatility. Mentioned that the Dow Jones was down 600 and some points. I don't know what it was exactly. Let's say 650 yesterday. It's back 450 today. Best day it's had since June. Well, they don't mention the worst day they've had in a year and a half yesterday. Here's the volatility problem. You know how many stocks there are in the Dow Jones? 30. That's it. Okay, so here's the problem. December 22nd, I think it was. Dow Jones went down 500 points. Came back 500 points the very next day. So we're okay, right? No. It went down because of Apple. It came back up because of Google and Boeing. So the people that didn't have the wherewithal to sell before Apple went down and didn't have the wherewithal to buy when Boeing and Google were up are hurt. This up and down constant swing is hurting the little people that don't have, we don't have a team of actuaries that are tracking the market and doing our day trading for us. So don't just look at this chart and go, yeah, everything's fine. Best time in history to be in the market. But here's my point. The next time we decide to jump off a cliff, it's going to be a harder fall than ever. Now I'm going to back up a slide. This level of safety will be more important than ever. Because the next crash will be harder and probably take longer to come back from. Concept make sense? Questions? Did I mention there's dessert? I didn't. Please stick around for dessert. We learned around year 7, we thought people just got up after the entrees and left without eating dessert because they were watching their California figures. It's because most people that put these presentations on us don't serve dessert. And if you've been to a few with me, you just get up and leave after the entree. So, please stick around for dessert. It was delicious last week. So, here's now what these are the top 4 index annuities at a given point, I don't know, a few months ago that we just picked. Like I said, we don't represent any companies in particular, or even just the insurance industry. But these are index annuities now, and the red line is the market over a 10-year span. And I put in the crash of 08 and 09 so that you can see how it goes. But my point is they're not just single-digit returns anymore, they actually outperform the market, which is huge. If I can beat the market without any of the downside risk and no transaction costs or selling fees, why wouldn't I do that? I wanted to throw in, this is an insurance company called Guggenheim. They've got that cool museum in New York City. I'm throwing this in just to show you after 1 year. December 19th, 2018 was when they went into this index annuity, and with $100,000, and 1 year later on December 19th, they're out at 118.19. I mean, that's pretty huge. They got a $4,000 bonus, but they also made 14 points in 1 year. This was Equitrust, same December to December. First year crediting went from 50 to 57.6. It's 15.3%. It's a safer way for the safe money to make really good returns. And it's tax deferred, remember that. You don't get it 1099 every year. Then this thing came along. Now this guaranteed lifetime income benefit used to only be available on variable annuities. That was the only asset that the Treasury Department and the IRS would let you have, the guaranteed lifetime income benefit. And then they changed the rules. For those of you who don't know what a variable annuity is, it's not an index annuity. It can go down in value. A variable annuity is a wrapping of mutual funds. They take mutual funds that aren't performing that well and they bundle them together. Why would I want to invest in bad mutual funds that are bundled together? Because they promise that even if the account value goes down, you get guaranteed lifetime income without giving away access to your cash. And that was crucial for a lot of people, especially in retirement. You need to know that I will not live my money. We're all living longer and longer. My grandma died 3 days shy of her 100th birthday, and I hope to beat that. So if I'm retired from